Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de those final steps if you are just about to pull the plug on the mundaneness of having a regular job, aka if you're about to fire. I mean, I get it. This is an even slimmer proportion of the slim audience that I have, but whatever. Gotta talk about those final steps, right? Hey, Ozempuk here. So I saw this post on the Fire subreddit with the OP talking about what he's about to do to prepare for finally, giving notice and retiring early. And to be honest, I found his answers rather situational and like almost too personal and specific, right? I'm going to link that thread below for reference, obviously. But the post did get me thinking about what I personally did, right, before taking the plunge. I mean, it is a scary step. I can admit it now, despite all the internet hoopla and echo chamber one might find oneself in terms of, getting knowledge about this whole genre of fire stuff. The reality for most of us, most of our lives, right, there's hardly anyone who's actually done it. I didn't know a single person before I retired early. Even now, I only know two others who've done it well, right, that I know them pretty well. And one of those two people is my wife, okay? So we early retirees or wannabe early retirees, we just don't have society's go-ahead. So in that scenario, what bold moves could we make sure that the transition doesn't turn into, a revolution backwards, right? After all, besides the prospect of running out of money in the long run, I'm pretty sure the next big nightmare scenario for early retirees is, well, having to go back to the workforce. That pretty much would be like admitting defeat, wouldn't it? So today's rant is just about what I think is important to accomplish before you actually give notice and finally say goodbye to that sweet, steady paycheck for the wild, wild west of total freedom. Anyway, if you are intrigued by what I might say, please subscribe, like, comment, share, all that social media, whatever. Or don't, because I'm rich enough for me. I'll be great regardless. First point, right? What should you do before you actually pull the plug? Because obviously, make those major one-time purchases, large amounts, obviously. Of course, this is difficult to predict, and I don't mean things like that'll never have to be replaced or repeated again, but more like things that you don't want to be purchasing or doing immediately after fire, as in year 1 to 5 at least, right? So a good example is if you must own a car, get a car you're comfortable with before you give up that paycheck. Because these are price shocks that you don't want to be worrying about, at least I said 5, but really for a decade for a car, I would imagine. Now, I'm going to caution that obviously nobody can predict the future, so I can say, make sure you got that car problem handled for the foreseeable future, but I cannot say, okay, what about major home renovations, right? There are optional renovations that you can probably try to preempt, such as, fixing up your kitchen or whatever, but that's hardly a realistic way of saying, of knowing when you might have to, let's say, replace your roof, right? And that's from personal experience, right? We had to do that. Now, when we bought this house, we knew our roof was pretty old, but we're not going to preemptively replace it until a leak of some sort happened, okay? So we waited, and guess what? That large surprise cost hit us right after retirement, okay? So just remember, you can do your best to preempt one-off purchases, but there's always going to be something unexpected that slips through. That's just life, okay? No big deal. My second point of what I think you should do before you give your notice is put some feelers out towards your trusted confidants, right? I think it's a bit of a trope that people in the fire communities usually say, well, don't tell your fire plans to your coworkers or whatever, because that'll just breed jealousy, okay? I have to say I wholeheartedly disagree. The reason being, well, that really depends on, how much trust you actually have in your colleagues. Now, if you only have a purely working relationship with them, of course, don't talk to them about your major life decisions. But I personally, I was a super trooper. I was quite friendly with most of my coworkers. I went out drinking with a whole bunch of them. And I had no issues discussing the very hypothetical scenario of exiting the workforce just in case somebody hit financial freedom, right? Like, you can talk about it, very hypothetically, right? I think there's a point to crowdsourcing the general public. Now, I get it, these days we can get all the, like-minded advice we would want from Facebook groups about fire or subreddits about fire. But that's not the point of view of the general public, right? I think personally, I prefer having multiple types of point of view, right? Not just more of the same type. For me personally, listening to how normal people talk about work-life balance and luxuries, products and things like that, that they think could alleviate, the feeling of being burnt out at a stressful job. I think that's helpful because it helps me refocus on why I don't want to live like most people in that rat race to begin with. So if I feel that way, I'm sure some of you probably will get the same lesson if you talk to your trusted confidants, obviously. That's, not in the fire mindset. Oh, final point. How can I forget now? If you're really thinking about retiring early, this is a question that comes up a lot. Should you pay off your mortgage before you retire? Now, this one I think is actually a little tricky, okay? I did go mortgage-less. I paid off my mortgage right before I retired, but I did take on a mortgage very soon afterwards because my life circumstances changed dramatically, right? So basically, I think in me, I have covered both scenarios, right? When I was by myself thinking about simply minimizing costs and expenses and feeling, easier to sleep at night, I choose retiring with no mortgage whatsoever, okay? It made me feel better and more secure, right? It reduced my recurring costs and let me sleep easier through market volatility. But as I just mentioned, I did get another fairly small mortgage soon afterwards because my wife and we moved in together and now we needed more space. I didn't mind a small mortgage. It's an amount that I can pay off at any time, especially now with a partner who at the time was not only still working, but working at a great job with significant income, right? So what I'm trying to say is this. For most people, a mortgage seems like a heavy burden, but this really depends on how much of a burden it actually is. If the interest rate is low, for real investors like fire folks, there's little rationale for tying up that liquidity in more real estate. But we human beings are also gonna, make decisions with our emotions, right? So I'm not faulting those who simply want one less thing to worry about by paying the largest debt burden most people have to face down either, okay? So I'm really okay with either options, again, as long as the interest rate is, much lower than what you think you can get market returns for. So in conclusion, if you're about to fire, I get it, it's scary, you get over it. And congratulations, by the way, you're in the incredible minority. Now, if you're like me, reading all the fire subreddits, you might think, oh my god, I don't have as much as someone else. Just remember, this is the internet, and there's a lot of bullshitters out there just role-playing because they're, losers, okay? Fire people are the ultimate winners because we don't have to play the game as it's designed. So no matter what choices you make right before you're doing to get yourself ready, I'm pretty sure those decisions will be well considered and thought out because those are the only type of people who can remotely get to this stage of the game. In the game of life, you are a winner already and you are winning still. Okay, so until next time, cheers, à la prochaine.